Today was less than ideal. Everything kind of worked out fine with going through and doing the squats. Did them at 245, not a very heavy weight for me. So I got through those fairly quickly. And actually kind of pretty all right. I didn't do them right after coming home with riding my bike home from work. I had some other things come up, so I just kind of put it off. I think it started these about like 2 or 3 hours later, and then just kind of went into it. The warm-up still felt fine. My quads are definitely feeling better from having been biking the past few days, and they're getting more used to a bit of a heavier load. So it's interesting how this experiment is going. Hopefully I get some more feedback over the coming weeks in terms of like how well this is going for me. But everything didn't move as smoothly. The overhead press was a little difficult, but I still got through it just fine. Maintained the 90-second rest periods, seeing if I can push that on a weight that's becoming a little bit more manageable for me at 105. But the block pulls were a different story. I know I talked about over the last week or so that I'm going to consider whether I should continue to keep including these or not. And I think for the time being, they need to come out of the programming. So I have to put them back on the shelf and replace them with something else. I'm debating whether I want to fully replace them with something like sumo deadlifts or with something like Romanian deadlifts, just something different. I'm thinking that there's some sort of deficiency in my form, either in my form or physically with me, that's causing me to not be able to sit deep enough in the reps to start pulling the weight, or to where I'm keep falling over. Not in the sense that I'm physically falling over, but my upper body is leaning more and more, and I'm basically doing a good morning to get this weight up. And going through and doing the sets of the block pulls, the only 2 that I did, you can see that I take time to reset on the reps when I notice that something isn't looking correct, that it's not feeling right, and I need to kind of adjust how I'm doing things and make sure that I'm doing them properly. But I can still feel myself, even after making these adjustments and focusing on this, that I'm slipping back into older and worse habits. And I think that there's something deficient in how I'm going about this. So I need to figure something out to address this and make this work correctly, just because it's not working. If I keep doing them at these weights for the time being, I don't think I'm going to get the results that I'm looking for, and I think it's going to reinforce bad habits into my workouts and into my, well, not just my workouts, but into my form. And when I'm trying to rep these out and go for maxes, it's not going to be tenable moving forward. So I need to rework this. I need to really think this over. This is a puzzle that I need to solve, and I just got to figure out what pieces go where to make it work effectively. So touching back to this, again, the squats move very well. I don't really have too many complaints about that. The overhead press, everything moved very, very, very smoothly. There's no leg drive at all in any of these sets, and I was able to just go through and just kind of crank them out. So 105 is feeling easier and easier. It seems to be with each passing time that I hit that weight. So I have high hopes that it's going to become, more and more manageable, and I'll slowly be able to push that higher weight up further and further. And it's slowing down, and that's fine, because you're not always going to have constant progress in progression in your strength at the same degree that you've had the entire time. That's just not possible. So you're going to hit a wall at some point. It's going to slow down, but as long as you're working at it and you're still trying to improve, you'll get there. It's just a matter of, you might need to adjust your approach a little bit. And that does tie into how I'm approaching the block pulls and my deadlifts in general, that I need to make a little adjustments because some things I've overdeveloped the strength for. And I do think that block pulls are very heavy in targeting the lower back. I've been unsure whether or not that's the correct muscle group for it to be targeting, and I'm pretty sure that it is. So I've been hammering the lower back and getting it stronger and stronger and stronger over the past 4 months, and however long I've been really doing these these block pulls, and I think it's created an over reliance on just how strong the lower back erectors are, that I'm having difficulty counterbalancing that with either my core, or I'm just relying on them to be so strong in general that I'm trying to lift with them almost exclusively at times. And that's not a good thing to do, because it's going to spell disaster for your lower back, for your spine. So I think I need to, again, just I am definitely going to shelf the block pulls for the time being, probably for a few months, and just try something different. It just definitely needs to be addressed. But still very happy with the overhead presses. They're working, again, very well. And I'm just excited to kind of see where they go. Hopefully I can hit 125 this month. I'm definitely confident I should be able to hit 120, if not the first time, definitely the second. But we're going to aim for the first. I'm never really going to settle for, failure in that. I'm going to do what I can to aim for progression. So now, touching on the block pulls, as I was talking about, I take quite a bit of time to set up, because I'm still thinking in my head whether or not these are something I want to go forward with. So I'm going to try these out, and if it's not working, I'm just going to call it quits, because I don't want to keep going through a session that I'm not able to effectively utilize and get any sort of good training out of an exercise. If it's not working, it's not working. I need to stop. So that's kind of what I'm thinking over here. And again, so my hips are so high right now. I'm thinking about it, and I can't get them further down when I'm doing these reps. And I'm thinking it over, and you can see in my lower back, and I felt it in that rep, just how much I'm relying on the lower back erectors to pull that weight up. And that's not good. It's setting you up for an injury. And that was a little bit better to where I am utilizing the hips, but I'm still not getting my hips down low enough. And it's been a consistent issue with me. And I think it's a combination of flexibility in the hips and just an complete overabundance of strength in the back when compared to the other parts of this lift. And I think that's why when I get heavier in conventional deadlifts, that I'm so bent over, despite my legs straightening out with the weight, because I'm relying on these muscles to pull it up, and it's not the right sequence of muscles. And I know I've talked about it in like the deficit deadlifts, to where I need to have everything be synchronized and not sequential. And that's something I definitely need to work on. So here I'm trying. I went back and I watched that first set, and I'm trying to utilize that proper form. And that first one was good, and I'm really trying to focus on that and get the second. But my legs are so sore, my back is sore. I started falling apart in the second rep. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm thinking over, is this worth it? Do I keep doing this? So I thought, I'll try one more rep, see how it felt. And I pulled that weight in that third rep, and I just sat there and I thought, I had to think about it, and I really did, about whether it's worth it to keep going. And I'm just kind of assessing things, how they're feeling. I figured I'd go for one more rep, starting to feel it out. I pull that fourth rep. You can see my back rounding right there, and that's when I said, no, this isn't working. So I definitely need to address this. I got to figure this out. It's not the worst thing in the world to fail in a situation like this, because you learn from failure, how you need to adjust and what you need to change, so that way you can come back and make it work. You're not going to, you're going to learn doing things correctly. Don't get me wrong, but you almost learn more from failure, because you have to think over what went wrong and critically think about this. What do I need to do to adjust this? So that's what I'm trying to do here. And this is part of a process of self-training. Maybe it's coming down to that I need to start working with a personal trainer, because while I like to think that I'm fairly knowledgeable in this, I'm not an expert. I'm not the most knowledgeable person in the world. I know how my body works, and I know how to get things going as far as I have, but when it comes to pushing further, I'm not sure. So I really got to think this over and just kind of think about what's going to be the best route going forwards.